Generally, people say not to hang around nostalgia too much when you do bring up the point nostalgia. People always mention it as being a bad thing, and I think there is some truth to that. But sometimes I feel nostalgia can help remind us how we used to feel with specific experiences. In this case, I'm talking about gaming specifically, as recently I've been going back to games that I really connected with in my childhood. And it made me realize how much things have changed when it comes to how I enjoy gaming in general, as I'm not that kid anymore. But going back to those games, I feel like there's a lot to talk about, as I feel revisiting nostalgia recently for me has actually helped me a lot. And I'm going to be talking about why that is. So without further ado, let's get right into it. For reference, just so you guys understand me a little bit more, I'm in my late 20s at this point. I'm getting kind of old, and gaming to me has really changed as I have less free time as I did back in the day, of course. And I always felt recently that I have to be very intentional about gaming and what I decide to choose to play in my library, or, you know, it has to be the best game, or so on and so forth, right? Like, I feel like I have to be super intentional nowadays. That's not how I really thought about gaming back in my day. And that's why when I went back and actually revisited a lot of the games that I did go back to this time, for example, Left 4 Dead 2, I just played this with my brother like we used to when we were younger. And honestly, it was some of the best times I've had like recently in terms of gaming. It's always a fun time going back to Left 4 Dead, as that's something we grew up on. And I have very fond memories of that game. Going back to Left 4 Dead like the old days, even just for a moment, really brought back this feeling that I feel like I've been trying to chase. And it's really just that pure enjoyment in the moment in gaming, not overcomplicating things, not setting any intentions, just enjoying the game for what it is. And I remember back in the day when I was a lot younger, when I saw something cool, I wanted to play it. You know, I'd either beg my mom to get it for me, you know, or I would try to save up some money to try to get this game, right? And Left 4 Dead is one of those occasions. I always remember that story, the story of how we even got Left 4 Dead 2. My brother had owned a GameCube before an Xbox, right? And I remember our brother, he was like wanting to get a new game, and he sold our GameCube and all the games on it. And I remember being so sad and mad at him at the time. Then he traded it in for Left 4 Dead and an Xbox 360. Obviously, we paid a bit more, I'm sure, but generally we got rid of our GameCube, and I remember being so sad and mad. Now we ended up getting one of my favorite games of all time, which is Left 4 Dead / Left 4 Dead 2 now. And I always think back to those moments of my brother just thought the game looked cool and he wanted to get it, so he just went and got it. He didn't overcomplicate it. It wasn't in his backlog. It really was just there in the moment. And looking back at stuff like this now, like even going back to Call of Duty, as I revisited some of those games recently as well, I think the whole experience of going back and revisiting nostalgia really taught me that enjoyment really is as simple as we made it back in the day, at least for myself. You know, I'd never really thought about it that much. I really just enjoyed it for what it was, whether it be Halo, Call of Duty, Left 4 Dead, you know, Mario, whatever it was, right? I just enjoyed it for what it was. And I feel like nowadays that's something I had forgotten. So that's why I feel like it's important to go back and get this perspective for yourself as well, because as much as I'm talking about myself here, I feel like if you guys have been feeling like you haven't been enjoying, you know, games lately, or you just have been feeling like wanting to revisit some nostalgia, I would say it's very important to do so, because you'll be very surprised what your quote-unquote favorite games growing up really teaches you about yourself now, because that's ultimately what I feel like happened to me during this entire experience. You know, I remember that gaming is literally meant to just be enjoyed, whether you enjoy that with friends, by yourself, with a single player game, or you just pick up something random, right? Like, it's just meant to be enjoyed, as simple as that. And that's something that I really had to, you know, accept and relearn, because nowadays I feel like with jobs and just being a lot older than I used to be, I mean, has just taught me to simplify this enjoyment. Like, even if it's something I want to overthink, it's just as simple as, if it's cool to you, if it's interesting to you, to just enjoy it for what it is. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't try to listen to the opinions of the outside world, whether people say the game's good or bad. Just experience it for what it is. You know, some of my favorite games are not even quote unquote like the best games of all time. Obviously, that's a whole different video, but I enjoy some quote unquote mediocre games from time to time, but I wouldn't have gotten there if I overthought the whole process of even just playing them, right? So that's something I really did learn from this last time revisiting my nostalgic games. And that's what I encourage you guys to go back and do as well, because I feel like it's healthy to do that from time to time, to really just go back and to get that old perspective and to get a different perspective with who you are now, but with a part of you that's in those games back in the day, right? Because I feel like now I can approach games with a different, healthier perspective. I don't have as much time as I used to, but that's why I feel like it's much more important now for me to just sit here when I have the time to fully just enjoy the games for what they are. And this is something I really want you guys to try to go back and do, because I feel like nowadays we overcomplicate gaming a lot. So I feel like reconnecting with that nostalgia for me recently has really just helped me enjoy games for what they are right now. And it's one of my favorite forms of entertainment, and I wouldn't trade this stuff for the world, man. People can call me a nerd or whatever you want, but reconnecting with my nostalgia has really helped me this last visit. I encourage you guys to go back and revisit some of your favorite games growing up, or even in your early years of gaming. Go back to that game that spoke to you. Go back to those multiplayer games that had you tied in, just to experience it for a lot. You don't have to stay there for too long, but just remember that feeling, and remember that that's ultimately the goal at the end of the day, is to enjoy this, right? And that's something I had to relearn. So I thank you, nostalgia, for that, because I feel like that's something that I had to relearn again. All right, guys. Well, bit of a shorter video, bit of a different video, but I like to do these kind of talks every so often, because I personally always get to a point where I like to think about stuff like this. I think it's super interesting. I feel like we all have different perspectives when it comes to nostalgia as well. So I wanted to put this video out there and kind of see how many of you guys relate to me with some of these notes here, because I feel like nostalgia is important. You don't want to stay back there for too long, but I do feel like it's important to give you that perspective that you might have lost, right? So regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what games you guys have been revisiting or would like to revisit for nostalgic purposes. That's the end of this video. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, all that cool jazz, and hope you guys have a good day or night. Adios.
Is it really over? Was I really right? Someday. Until the answer is found. Goodbye, Goldman.